So you want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Maybe you're thinking about getting one, or maybe you already have one and you're not quite sure how to ride, or maybe you do know how to ride, but it's just not the greatest. Well, I'm going to show you guys how to ride a motorcycle from start to finish. Alright, well, listen carefully. Full send! I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. Actually, just don't do that. Just please don't. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is find yourself a nice, big, open parking lot. Preferably one that doesn't have any gravel or any of that rubber tar stuff you see on the ground. This is a nice, long, straight parking lot, so I think this is going to work out just fine. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is start the bike, kickstand up. You're going to pull in the clutch, shift down into first, and what we're going to do is we're just going to rock back and forth on our heels. So to do that, you're just going to slowly let out the clutch until you feel the clutch start to engage. The engine will sound like it's going to die, and then you're going to pull in the clutch. And you're just going to rock back and forth on your heels. And you're going to do that until you feel comfortable with where the clutch engages. And if you take a look, my clutch engages somewhere out here. So all of this here is dead space. So from here on out, if you remember that, you don't have to pull in the clutch all the way for you to get the clutch to engage and disengage. So you're going to do that for probably about 10-15 minutes till you get yourself comfortable with your bike. You know, I forgot to mention, it's also good practice that whenever you get to a red light or a stop sign, just practice rocking back and forth. Just to see where your clutch engages. That way you actually have constant practice of where your clutch engages. Okay, after you've gotten comfortable rocking the bike back and forth, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to practice taking off without using the throttle. So to do that, you're going to start the bike, put the bike in gear, and just like what you've been doing, you're going to slowly let out the clutch. But this time, we're going to continue letting out the clutch nice and slow until we're fully moving and the clutch is completely engaged. Both feet are going to be down for this. We're not going to use any throttle. We're also going to practice a little bit of braking in this. So we're going to slowly let out the clutch. You're going to hear that engine start to die. The bike is going to continue to move, and you're going to keep letting out the clutch until it's all the way out and you're going. And remember, we're not going to use any gas for this. No throttle. When you've made it to the end, you're going to pull in the clutch, apply the brake. I'm going to turn around here. So pull in the clutch, apply the brake, come to a complete stop, and do it again. So again, we're going to slowly let out the clutch, both feet on the ground. Continue letting out the clutch. You're going to hear that engine start to die. Continue letting out the clutch till the clutch is all the way out. And we're moving. No throttle. Remember, no throttle. And when you made it to the end, pull in the clutch, apply the brake, come to a complete stop. Alright, after a couple times going up and down the parking lot, you feel like you're getting comfortable. Now we're going to... start adding the throttle. So that's going to look a little bit something like this. So first things first, turn on the bike, pulling the clutch down to first gear, and then we're going to slowly let out the clutch. And if you remember, during the first exercise, the engine would start to die when the clutch would start to engage. Well, now when you hear that engine start to die, you're going to give it a little bit of gas. And I can't express enough how much I mean little. So if you take a look, this is all I'm giving it. Right there. That's it. That's it. No more gas than that. You don't need any more than that. So remember, we're going to add that much throttle when you hear the engine start to die. So we're going to start letting out the clutch. Hear that engine start to die? Now we're going to add that gas and continue letting out the clutch. Now we're moving. Both feet can be down for this, or if you're feeling comfortable, you can put them up on the foot pegs. I recommend trying to get your feet up on the foot pegs. And you're just going to hold that throttle. We're not going to give it any more. We're just going to hold that throttle. And we're going to go up and down the parking lot maybe about 4 or 5 times. We're going to do that about 4 or 5 times. So we're going to come down here, we're going to roll off the throttle. We're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, and apply the brake. Alright, we're going to do that again. There's kind of a lot of steps here, so you're going to have to slowly let out the clutch, wait for that engine to start to die, apply a little bit of throttle to get going, continue letting out the clutch, and then when you're done, you're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, and apply the brake. Alright, here we go. We're going to do it again. Slowly let out that clutch. Here for that engine to start to die. Add a little bit of throttle. Continue letting out the clutch. Hold that throttle. And when you make it to the end, roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, and apply the brake. This is the basics of riding. You're going to want to do that, get very comfortable with your bike before we start moving on. So again, down to the other end of the parking lot, roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, apply the brake, come to a stop. Alright, now that you feel like you've gotten all that down, now it's going to be time to start shifting up. Pull in the clutch, shift up into the next gear, and then just like in the first or second exercise, you're going to slowly let out the clutch and apply the gas. Alright, so let's do that so you guys can see what that looks like. Start the bike, put it in first, slowly let out the clutch, hear that engine die, apply the gas, continue letting out the clutch. Now we're moving. Now, where to shift is going to be depending on your bike and just how you interpret when you need to shift. So when the engine RPMs start to get a little bit high, that's when I like to shift. For this bike, it's going to be somewhere around 6 to 8. If you're using like a Ninja 650, it's going to be somewhere around 4 to 5,000. And you can shift higher or lower, but just for starting out, that's a good place to start out. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to get going. Engine RPMs are going to get high. Roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, shift up, let out the clutch, and apply the gas. Now we are in second gear. And that sequence is going to be the same through all the gears. So second to third, you're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, shift up to third, let out the throttle, or let out the clutch, and apply the throttle. But when you're starting out, this is what you should be doing. You're going to let out the clutch, apply the throttle, get going, do your shift, and then when you reach the end, you're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, apply the brake, come to a complete stop. Now from that complete stop, shift down into first. Okay, we're going to get to the downshifting later, but for right now, that's how I want you guys to do that. Break it down into nice, simple segments. We're going to master every one before we put them all together. So again, alright, now that you've gotten comfortable shifting up, shifting down is going to be the same thing. Shifting down, you're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, shift down, let out the clutch. Nothing to it. But what I want you guys to be doing is when you reach the end of the parking lot, I want you to apply the brakes. So you're going to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, shift down, let out the clutch. When you get to the end, pull in the clutch, apply the brake, and do it again. Downshifting is very similar to upshifting, minus the throttle. Roll off the throttle, clutch, downshift, let out the clutch. Fairly simple, not too difficult. And what I want you guys to do is just practice every step and don't move on until you feel comfortable that you've mastered it. Because the last thing anybody wants is for you guys to get ahead of yourself and wreck your new bike, hurt yourself, or hurt somebody else. So take it slow, learn every step, and don't move on until you feel comfortable that you've mastered the previous steps. Because every step in this video builds on the previous step. From getting going, to shifting, to downshifting, it all builds upon itself until the final picture is full fitness! Well, you riding a motorcycle. Anyway guys, that's it for me. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.